Hey, Astro Kids, and welcome back. This is your weekly horoscope for March 29th through April 4th of 2021. So starting off here on March 29th, the moon will be in Virgo. We left off this previous week with the moon in the Hasta Nakshatra. From here, it will be shifting into Chitra Nakshatra, which is symbolized by a jewel. So this is a great time to think about what it is that you want to attain, what it is that you want to acquire in your life, using your skills, using your knowledge to gather the resources that are needed to achieve your goal. So, again, we've been talking a lot about this as we have been going through these previous weeks about using your creative energy, using your talents, using your skills to build up to this creation that you want to bring into your life. This previous full moon, as well, being a huge time for this as we're coming off a full moon in the Hasta Nakshatra. So, this is a manifestation time as we're entering into this week. And of course, this will take us into a brand new month that is centered around spring season if you're here in the US. So, a lot of opportunity to give birth to something new, to create something new in this space. Following that, on the 30th of March, the moon will shift into the Swati Nakshatra. And so, as the moon is here in Libra, it will be opposing Uranus, for those of you who wanted me to add in those extra three planets. This is a time, once again, to think about what it is that you want to create, what it is that you want to grow, what it is that you want to bring into your life. And so, this is a huge time to focus on what it is that you're trying to build. Those of you who have a goal, those of you who have something that you want to achieve, that you want to gain materially in your life, huge time to focus on this. With this opposition over to Uranus, this is a time where you can see some unexpected results happening as far as your wealth, depending on where this moon is in your chart. This is a huge time where some unexpected opportunities can come into your life with this opposition. So you want to pay close attention to where this moon is happening within your chart. And we will go through each of the signs as we move forward here for this weekly horoscope. On the 31st, the moon will shift from the Swati Nakshatra into Vishaka. So now we are into Scorpio, and this moon here moving into Vishaka is represented by the triumphant arc. So this is a huge moment of those things that you've been working towards, bringing in the success. Again, you want to pay attention to where this is actually happening in your chart and where Scorpio is. Is Mars a good planet for you? Is Jupiter a good planet for you? As this is a Jupiter ruled nakshatra. So these things matter heavily as we're coming into this transit here. Also on the 31st, Mercury will be shifting into the sign of Pisces. If you have not checked out that video yet, I will leave a link down below in the description along with above as well. So for those of you who have not checked that out yet, we do have Mercury moving into its debilitation here at the end of March. On April 1st, the moon will continue in Scorpio. It will move into Anurata and into Jyeshtha here on the 1st of April. And so we will see the moon conjunct with Ketu. Remember that Rahu is in that conjunction with Mars in Taurus in the opposition. So we have this opposition here of Rohini and Jyeshtha between Rahu and Ketu. We have the moon, we have Mars in this opposition here. So this is a huge time where you can see some emotional shifts happening. So for those of you who are working towards your goals, you're working towards what you want to see as an outcome with this Rahu Mars combo, pay close attention to your emotions, to your moods. A lot can shift and change all of a sudden with this opposition. Remember that the moon and Ketu are not friends with one another. The moon is very much about what nurtures us, what comforts us, and Ketu is about taking us out of this physical, tangible reality. Ketu wants to take us to the spiritual, to the past lives, to the other realms and dimensions, to the hidden mystical knowledge. And so this is a very difficult transit as the moon hits up Ketu. And again, this is something that is reoccurring as the moon will move 2 to 3 days between each of the signs. And Ketu is spending some time here in Scorpio. A lot that is shifting and changing sporadically with this Martian energy that's in there as well with Rahu. And so watch your moods as they're shifting and changing during this period in time. On April 2nd, the moon will shift from Scorpio and into Sagittarius. And so we're finishing out Jyeshta here and moving into the Mula Nakshatra, represented by the roots. This is time to use your creativity, to use what you have, and to tap into your ancestral roots. For those of you who have these connections with your ancestors, with your spirit guides, this is a huge time for this connection to come through, where many of you can pull some deep insight and wisdom along with this creativity, along with this deep insight of the subconscious with this Jyeshta Nakshatra, and put it to use in a big way here on the 2nd of April. Moving forward on the 3rd of April, the moon will shift from the Mula Nakshatra into Purva Ashada. And so this is about attaining glory. Is it glory or is it failure? And so this is a huge time to accept whether you are succeeding in what you have set out to do here for this week, or if this is falling apart and it's time to move on to something new. So this is time to accept where you are here with this Purva Ashada Nakshatra. Moving forward here into April 4th, we move into the Uttara Ashada Nakshatra, and this will come into a conjunction with Pluto. So there's a lot of deep internal shifts that are happening, especially as we're getting ready to shift into a Pluto retrograde very soon here in the month of April. And so there's a lot of shifting and changing that's taking place with the moon that is already an internal factor of shifting and changing through different cycles, along with this Pluto that is a planet of transformation. So very intense time here of shifting towards the path that is right for you, shifting towards the path that will lead to your victory, that will lead to your purpose, your mission of what you are called to do. So this is a huge week here of focusing on your goals, focusing on your achievements, focusing on what it is that you are marching towards. And as we shift into next week, we will see the moon shift into Shravana, where listening to your intuition, listening to your guidance is a huge part of this journey here throughout this week. So starting off here with the cardinal signs. For those of you who have an Aries moon or Aries ascendant, the moon will start off in your 6th house. And so this is a very intense week, as you can see some difficulties and challenges to start off here with this moon in Virgo. This is a huge time to pay attention to all of the details of what it is that you want to achieve and accomplish. Use your skills, use your gifts at this time to deal with these challenges, to work towards what it is that you want to accomplish. From there, the moon will shift into your 7th house. And so this becomes a great time for achieving success in your business, especially as this will be shifting here into the Swati Nakshatra. A lot of wealth that can be acquired through this shift here. So for those of you who are focusing on business pursuits, those of you who are here in business partnerships, this can be a good transit for you. The thing you want to watch out for, though, is that Uranus in your 1st house. This can bring sudden shifts and surprises. This can be both good or bad as Uranus is bringing that unexpected factor. So, for the most part, this becomes a great time for work, for business, for acquiring wealth, for those of you with an Aries moon or Aries ascendant. From there, the moon is going to shift into your eighth house. Again, great time for acquiring wealth, but you want to watch any potential mood swings that can happen through this shift here, as the moon will be transiting in your eighth house as Scorpio, very intense, but especially with K2 being here as well in that opposition to Rahu and Mars in your second house. A lot of emotional shifts that can happen that can even make your speech very direct and impulsive with that Martian Rahu combination there in your second house. But this becomes a great time of acquiring wealth through others for doing well in business with this position. From there, the moon will shift into your ninth house. And so this becomes a great time, once again, to listen to your inner guidance, to listen to the wisdom of your elders, to listen to your teachers, your mentors, those who are there to help you through this process. You can succeed greatly through listening to this insight as we come into this space here of this ninth house, especially as this will be going through the Mula Nakshatra. From there, the moon will shift into your 10th house, where it will end up here, where this becomes a great time of success for victory in your status, in your career. Some of you, though, possibly facing some difficulties in this area where things may need to shift in terms of your status and career. So we have this unexpected factor this week, again, with Uranus in that opposition over to the moon, and all of these factors of K2 and Rahu that are involved. And so this can go either way, where you can see sudden shifts and ups and downs happening in your career. For those of you with a Cancer moon or Cancer ascendant, the moon will start out in your third house. And so this becomes a great time of using your communication skills. For those of you who are working on projects, those of you who are doing any sort of work that involves counseling, that involves writing, that involves teaching, that involves speaking, this becomes very successful during this time where you can achieve a lot through this. This is a time where this requires a lot of courage. You have to want to pursue these things in your life, as this moon is here in this third house. From there, the moon will shift into your fourth house. This becomes a great time for appreciating the things that you have accomplished, that you have set out to do. There can be some sudden shifts and changes, as Uranus will be opposing this from your 10th house. And so you can see some sudden shifts in your happiness and inner peace from this position of the 10th house through your career. This is a time where you want to be in the right state of mind, as things can fluctuate and change throughout this time. This could even be a time of changing location, which can affect your career, or your career can affect a change in location as well. From there, the moon will shift into your fifth house, where it will come into this very intense period of Scorpio, where there will be an opposition over to Rahu and Mars. This is a huge time where this can give you a lot of creative potential, a lot of ambitions. You're striving to succeed big things at this time. You want to be careful of any arguments or disagreements that can come up with elder siblings or elders in general. Also, with your large social gatherings, there can be some disputes, some disagreements, but this is a great time where many of you can succeed some big results in terms of your goals and achievements. And so this all depends on your state of mind, once again, with that fourth house activation. From there, the moon will shift into your sixth house, where this becomes about focusing in on your work, your responsibilities. With this Mula Nakshatra, your daily routine, your discipline, your ability to stay committed and organized in your efforts, becomes the roots, the foundation from which you can succeed from. So this is very powerful here. We will end up with the moon in your seventh house, where you can see some success along your business partnerships, along the things that you've been working in teams with. This can go very well for those of you with a Cancer moon or Cancer ascendant. For those with a Libra moon or Libra ascendant, we're starting off the week here with the moon in your 12th house. This becomes a spiritual journey to start off the week. We're finishing this off from the previous week, where this becomes a time of going inward. This is also a time of focusing in on your health, on maintaining your wellness as it's aspecting over to your sixth house. From there, the moon will shift forward into your first house. And so a lot that is coming up to the surface. This can be a time where you're feeling more sensitive, where you're more open to making changes and adjustments in your life. Things can be fluctuating from here. So you want to pay close attention to anything that is shifting and changing. This can be a good time to receive support through others who you are connected to with this moon opposition over to your seventh house. From there, the moon is going to shift into your second house. Very intense with this position of Scorpio. We have this moon K2 conjunction in opposition to Rahu and Mars from your eighth house. This is super intense. You can receive wealth and security through others at this time. This can also be a time where you can receive some accidents or some sudden events with this Rahu Mars influence in your eighth house. So this can be very intense at this time. You want to make sure that you are fully aware of the changes and fluctuations going on in your life, that you have a certain foundation and stability coming into this life, coming into this week, as the moon is already a shifting and changing factor. In K2 being a planet that takes us out of the material. So this can be a time where things can all of a sudden shift and change, where you want to be in tune with the physical responsibilities and your material foundation. From there, the moon is going to shift into your third house. This can be a great time for communication, for expressing yourself to those who are working in a field that involves communication, that involves some sort of counseling or publishing. You can do very well in this area. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your fourth house. This is where the moon will end up to end off the week. And so this can be a great time of inner peace and happiness through your career pursuits. You want to make sure, though, that you are focusing on communication. That is the foundation for this success, especially as that Mula Nakshatra will be activated in that third house. For those of you with a Capricorn moon or Capricorn ascendant, we will start off the week with the moon in your ninth house. This is a great time for learning, a great time for exploring as you're coming into this week, reaching out to teachers, to counselors, to mentors, those who can help you coming into this week, making sure that your mental health and that everything wellness-wise is in check coming into this week is very important as well. And so this is, again, something that you can sort out with counselors, with those who are supporting you as well. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your 10th house. Huge time to take the things that you've learned, to take the information that you've studied, and to make something out of it. This is a big time for those of you with a Capricorn moon or Capricorn ascendant, where you can do very well in your leveling up in career and status and making an impact in the world with the things that you have gathered. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your 11th house. This becomes very intense, as this is Scorpio, and this is the moon with K2 in an opposition over to Rahu and Mars in your 5th house. And so this is a huge time where you can see some sudden shifts and changes in terms of your gains, in terms of your success. This is a time where you really need to focus in on your projects and the things that you're wanting to achieve, as there can be some sudden fluctuation. And for many of you here, this can be a time where you can be realizing that the things that you have pursued, the things that you have sought out, are not everything that you hope for them to be with this K2 positioning here in your 11th house. Also want to pay close attention to where K2 is in your chart. Of course, this will give you greater insight as to how this will affect you. We will end up with the moon in your 12th house, and this becomes a great time for tapping into your spirituality. For those of you, whether you are connected through your dreams, connected through a religion, through some sort of spiritual practice, this can help you tremendously as we're going through this Mula Nakshatra back in your 12th house as well. Lastly, the moon will end up in your first house. And so to end off this week, coming into the next week, this can be a huge time where you can see yourself shifting a lot. You can have some mood swings. This can make you much more sensitive, much more expressive as the moon comes into this first house here. So this is a huge time to focus on your state of mind as the moon comes into here. This affects your relationships in a big way, especially as the moon is controlling your 7th house of partnerships. For those of you with a Taurus moon or Taurus ascendant, we're starting off this week with the moon in your 5th house. This becomes a great time to pursue any projects, anything that you want to achieve in a big way. Focusing in on the knowledge, on the information, is something that benefits you in a huge way. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your 6th house. You want to be careful of your health and that you're staying focused and maintaining routine coming into this week. Some sudden shifts and changes can happen through this 6th house and even forward as we get into the 8th house where the moon will go as well. You can see some fluctuations there. So staying committed, staying on task, staying focused on what it is that you're pursuing is heavily important coming into this week. From there, the moon will shift into your 7th house. You can receive some support through others at this time. And so you may find that you are receiving some benefits, that you are being nurtured, that you are being taken care of by others, especially for those of you who are in business partnerships coming into this week as well. Now, this is very intense with Scorpio here, where many of you can find yourselves very much focused heavily on what it is that you want to achieve. Make sure that you are accepting the help of others. So with this Rahu Mars in your 1st house, you can be very independent and very much rejecting the help or support of others. From there, the moon is going to shift into your 8th house, where this becomes a great time to tap deeper, to look deeper for answers at this time as we're going through this Mula Nakshatra. This is also a time where you can see some shifts and fluctuation happening with the moon here in your 8th house. Want to focus heavily on maintaining your wealth and making sure that security is taken care of, especially when it comes to joint finances. From there, the moon is going to end up in your 9th house. Again, this is a very lucky week for many of you here with a Taurus moon or Taurus ascendant, where you can gain a lot in life. Especially coming towards the end of this week, you can gain a lot of wisdom, a lot of greater insight from teachers, from those who you look up to, as the moon is in opposition over to your 3rd house. There's a lot of knowledge, a lot of skill sets that you can gain from teachers. From there, for those of you with a Leo moon or Leo ascendant, the moon is going to start out for you in your 2nd house. And so this becomes a week where you want to focus on your finances, focusing on your security, as you can see some fluctuations here. This is also a big week for those of you with a Leo moon or Leo ascendant, where you may feel more connected to your family, or your family may need your support at this time. So this creates a great connection to home and family coming into this week. From there, the moon will shift into your third house. Again, you can feel connected to your siblings at this time, but this becomes a great time for your intellectual skills to develop with the moon here in the third. This can make you more open to learning various different things coming into this week, which can help you level up in your skills. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your fourth house. Again, deep connection to home and family coming into this week. This may be a week where you need to retreat at some point to find a sense of peace and stability. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your fifth house, where this can become a great opportunity to succeed wealth wise, security wise, where you can level up in your career and status with this opposition over to your 11th house. You want to focus heavily, though, on your project, on the things that you are setting out to do, as the moon can fluctuate. And so this can be a time where you can find yourself falling short or losing a sense of structure and purpose coming into this week. It's very important that you are continuing to stay motivated, that you're not allowing anything to emotionally take away from this ability to gain some huge success coming into the week. From there, the moon will end up in your sixth house. And so, as we end off the week here, this becomes a great time once again to stay focused on your habits, to stay focused on your routine. Making sure that everything is structured and well taken care of will help you tremendously with your work, with your achievements, with your goals. For those of you with a Scorpio moon or Scorpio ascendant, the moon will start off in your 11th house. And so you can gain some support through elders, through elder siblings. This can be a good time of receiving some great benefits and support, especially as the moon is your ninth house ruler. This can be very fortunate for you. From there, the moon will shift forward back into your 12th house. And so this becomes a great time to connect deeper with your spirituality, with your imagination, going inward and finding that sense of peace and balance in your life. From there, the moon will shift forward into your first house. This is very intense, as the moon will come into a conjunction with Ketu, opposing Rahu and Mars in your seventh house. And so this can be a huge time where you feel disconnected from others, but you're feeling a strong desire to connect to others as well. This is a huge time to continue along your spiritual journey and purpose, and to not shut yourself out completely coming into this week. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your second house. Great time to acquire wealth. Great time to connect more with your family, towards your loved ones, of going inward towards deeper connection. The moon will end up there in your third house, where you can find yourself involved in some creative hobbies or talents. You can find yourself gaining some new knowledge, working towards projects, as the moon is opposing over to your ninth house. For those of you with an Aquarius moon or Aquarius ascendant, the moon is going to start out in your eighth house. Very intense to start out the week, where you can see some sudden shifts and fluctuations. You want to pay attention to your health, making sure that everything is secure and in check. There can be some sudden accidents that can happen coming into this week, especially as the moon is already a fluctuating factor. This could be a time that is very emotional for some of you coming into this week, where you can see some sudden shifts in mood. From there, the moon is going to move forward into your ninth house, where this can be a great time as far as your studies. You can find that your memory is improved coming into this week, that you're doing very well in terms of maintaining your education and the things that you're working towards as far as your studies. So for those of you who are in school at this time, this can work very well for you coming into this week. This is also a great time for exploring, for learning in general, where you can gain a new skill, gain a new language through this moon ninth house combo. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into the 10th house, where your career, your status can fluctuate. So you may find yourself needing to change location or change how you're doing something there in your career. And this can especially affect your home life as it is aspecting over to your fourth house. So again, you could be changing location, or this could take some time away from being at home during this time, being focused on the things that are going on in the home life can be difficult at this time. You may also need to work from home. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your 11th house, where this can be a great time to receive some gains, some support. And so you can find yourself receiving support through elders, through elder siblings, or in general, receiving support towards your goals and achievements. From there, the moon is going to sit back in your 12th house to finish off the week. This can be a great time to go inward, to tap into your spirituality, where you're feeling much more sensitive, much more connected to your spiritual world, especially as the moon is opposing the original ruler of this 12th house of Capricorn. This can give you a little bit of a deeper insight where you would normally be more practical in this area. For those of you with a Gemini moon or Gemini ascendant, we're starting off the week here with the moon in your fourth house. This is a great time to connect with family, to take some time to yourself, to go inward. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your fifth house, where this can be a great time for creativity, for working towards your goals and achievements, the things that you want to grow and see succeed long term can be of great importance to you. You want to be careful though, because the moon is a fluctuating factor. You could find yourself distracted, you can find yourself drifting off, but if you are staying focused and motivated, you can achieve a lot from this moon. From there, the moon is going to shift into your sixth house. And so this becomes a time where you want to focus heavily on your health. If you are changing a lot, if you are doing things that require a lot of your time, always on the go, this can be a time where you want to make sure that you are maintaining your health and staying true to your habits and routines. This can help you tremendously as our two wellness houses are being hit up by this moon. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your seventh house, where this can be a great time of connecting with partners, whether this is romantic or through a business partnership. You can find that the connection is good on this end. This can be a great time to exchange creative ideas, to work towards projects together, coming into this week in any sort of partnership arrangement. From there, the moon is going to end up back in your eighth house. Once again, you can achieve a lot of success through others at this time. This can be a great time as far as acquiring wealth through others, but you want to be careful about any joint finances or shared resources. The moon can be a fluctuating factor with it coming into your eighth house. So you especially want to pay attention to where the moon is in your chart. What is the condition of your natal moon? This can affect this position greatly. For those of you with the Virgo moon or Virgo ascendant, we're starting off the week with the moon in your first house. And so you can find yourself very sensitive, going through lots of changes at this time. This can be a great time to focus on your state of mind, making sure that everything is in check. And you can also find yourself receiving support through others. It can be a great time to reach out for the support of others. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your second house. So you want to be careful about eating habits. As the moon is coming into the second house, you can find yourself shifting and changing a lot. And especially with this moon, you can find yourself attracted to sweets, as this seventh house is controlled by Libra. And so as you're coming into this week, paying attention to your health is a good priority to have. This can also be a good time to pay attention to your wealth, as the moon can fluctuate in this area. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your third house, And so this becomes a great time to work on your creative hobbies, your talents, your skills, to pursue the things that you want to accomplish. The moon is going to be aspecting over to that ninth house. So, especially anything regarding communication, publishing can go very well during this period. From there, the moon is going to shift into your fourth house. Great time to connect inward with your family, with your home, with those closest to you. This can be a great time to find some peace of mind, to take a little bit of a break for some of you coming into this week. And following that, the moon will end up in your fifth house, where once again you can prosper in your creative projects and hobbies and anything that you are wanting to achieve at this time can prosper with the moon's aspect over to the 11th house. For those of you with a Sagittarius moon or Sagittarius ascendant, the moon is going to start off for you in your 10th house. This is a huge time where you can see career shifts happening. You may find yourself relocating for a new job or relocating a new role for some of you, or shifting in the way that you actually are pursuing your career. This can affect your home life and your happiness greatly as the moon is aspecting over to your fourth house. But for the most part, this can give you some great shifts in your career, which can lead to success as the moon will end up in your 11th house of gains. This is a huge time where you can see yourself prospering and reaching some new heights. With this moon in the 11th house, you can receive a lot of support through this position. From there, the moon will shift back into your 12th house. Great time for deeper introspection, going within, tapping into your inner world, your spiritual world, and this can be very prominent, especially as the moon is coming into a conjunction with K2. This can be an incredibly spiritual time where you can gain some very deep insight here in this Jyeshta Nakshatra. From there, the moon is going to aspect over to your sixth house with Rahu and Mars, very intense. You want to watch your health. You want to watch any sort of sudden shifts or changes that can happen. Challenges can arise with this Rahu Mars combo in your sixth house. From there, the moon is going to shift forward into your first house. You can see yourself changing in mood. You can see yourself changing in attitude coming into this week, where you can find yourself fluctuating and making sudden changes within your life. You want to keep any sort of partners informed about this, as this is going to be aspecting over to your seventh house of partnership. From there, the moon is going to end up in your second house. This is a good time to pay attention to your finances, to your security, anything that can shift that is very important towards your foundation is something to focus on coming into this week. For those of you with a Pisces moon or Pisces ascendant, now with the moon in your seventh house, this also is going to give you that support that you need. It's going to give you that guidance from your partner. So this support will come to you as you're going through these changes in your life. With the moon in your eighth house, once again, you can see sudden shifts and changes coming into this week. This can be a week where you're feeling more so deeply connected with others, coming out of your shell, expressing yourself more. In the ninth house, this becomes a creative area where you can excel in your education. You can excel in your creative skills and hobbies at this time. Anything that you are pursuing can go very well. And with the moon ending up in your 10th house of career, this especially can take you off in your business. And yes, the moon is a fluctuating factor, but your 10th house of career is fluctuating anyway. And so for those of you here with a Pisces moon or Pisces ascendant, this can be a very good opportunity as you're seeing these shifts and changes happening. That was your weekly horoscope for March 29th through April 4th of 2021. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this video, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new content. We have a lot to talk about for the month of April, So make sure that you stay tuned for the upcoming transits. If you have not checked out that video yet on Mercury in Pisces and Venus in Pisces, make sure to check that out. That will take us into the month of April as well. There are links for that down below in the description. I want to thank you all so much for joining, and I will see you in the next video.